Hi, Mark. How are you? It's good to see you. Thanks very much for having this chat about the Credit Services Association conference, the UKCCC UK Credit and Collections Conference, which is on the Thursday, the 14th of September, and we're really looking forward to lots of people coming along and having a chat and networking and learning about what's going on in the sector. So, really appreciate your time.
Not a problem. Thanks, Chris, for inviting me on to talk today. Yeah, looking forward to it myself, actually. Last year was good, and hopefully this year will be even better, says you.
Yeah, I mean, we've got quite a few things going on in the sector, and it's actually turning out to be a really sort of pivotal moment because, of course, having had what probably a decade plus of ultra low interest rates and credit conditions fairly stable. Of course, last year after our conference, we had a whole series of quite turbulent changes, and of course, with inflation came big interest rate rises and all sorts of discussions on top of the cost of living stuff that was going on. So you won't be surprised. We've got quite a good opening plenary session at the conference with the economics editor of the Daily Telegraph coming along to give us sort of her understanding of what's going on in the economy. And then we've managed to get one of the key directors at the Financial Conduct Authority to come along. The FCA, obviously quite pivotal for our sector as well, just to give their understanding about what's going on. And you'll know the big issue of the moment is the rollout of Consumer Duty, which kicked off in July. So I'm sure lots of people across the sector talking about
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned the interest rates, the cost of living. It is like it's unprecedented. I think a lot of people, they haven't experienced this before, so it's certainly new ground for a lot of people. So very interesting times ahead for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've got some good speakers also, as well as specialists in our field from the creditor side of the equation too. Those who are either in the debt sale sector or placing or outsourcing work with collections agencies, and so we're going to get their perspective on what the state of the market is. And obviously, a lot of people don't necessarily externally understand, well, why is this sector so important? But in order to keep credit available to the wider society, the collections process has to be smooth and efficient. But there's a lot of people also wanting to make sure that customer engagement is absolutely as the best practice with high standards and professionalism as it could be. And so we've got a series of breakout sessions across the conference that are looking at the sort of people issues, HR questions, as well as those compliance and regulation issues. But loads of innovation happening. I mean, lots of new ideas. Technology is being used quite a lot, and you guys do a lot in that whole AI section. I mean, so much talk going on about AI and its application for all sorts of sectors, but including our sector.
I think the whole chatbot or the GPT has certainly got everybody. It's got the creative juices flowing for the whole chat GPT thing. Has certainly people who were sort of not really that sort of tuned into the whole technology piece. It's opening up actually what's possible. Now there is limitations with regards to that type of technology. Where we're looking at it from our conversational AI perspective is the ChatGPT is a large language model. So it's very broad, very wide, and giving, sort of most times it's giving a sort of accurate answer. It'll give you sort of, and they call it hallucinations, between 10 and 20% of the time. But again, that really wouldn't be in an industry like ours. You have to be absolutely on point every time. So really what you're seeing is what we've done and been building for the last couple of years is a custom language model. So that, people talk about conversational AI. What does that actually mean? Well, it really means is that the language is fine-tuned for the credit and collections world. That, the language that we use every day in the week isn't something that would be used commonly, and then the interpretation of that. So when you look at what people are trying to do with technology today, ultimately, they're trying to, more times than not, trying to give the end consumer a much better experience. The idea of letters and more so the phone calls that have been sort of, that sort of pillar that a lot of collections companies have relied on, that actually has been taken away in a lot of instances. The ability to actually engage with people over the phone has come down year on year. Again, more people now are much more comfortable on a digital device, on, let's call it your phone, but it does a lot more. So the likes of WhatsApp, the likes of messaging, the likes of all of these people, that's where people are engaging today, and that's where businesses are transitioning. Now, one of the things that a lot of companies have jumped from the phone into the world of self-service. Now, self-service is brilliant, but it's not for everybody. And that really would be where we see, look, we do lots of self-service. 70 to 80% of all the conversations that we do are automated. But the key thing would be is that can you give that customer intimacy that a phone call would give, and that really would be where that blend and the conversational AI comes into its own. You're getting that efficiency for the business, but also when you need that agent intervention and that one-to-one conversation to happen to give that reassurance, that really is where we're seeing the real value of the conversational, that automation piece, because it's the blend of both worlds. You can't just say to everybody, you have to go online and do it online. And more times than not, the other alternative is let's do and have conversations on the phone with everybody. And that, from an economic point of view, isn't sustainable, I don't think, anymore in the model that most companies operate to.
No, I mean, we're, as a sort of trade association for the whole of the collection sector, we're quite interested, obviously, in terms of the customer standards and the quality of service that they get. And we're actually doing a bit of research into sort of attitudes towards debt and indebtedness. And obviously, there's a lot of people with quite a lot of anxieties when they are first contacted or they've missed payments. And so making sure that you've got that level of attention to what they're looking for when you have that dialogue and interaction is really important. I mean, it's why I think having Webio support the conference is really quite relevant, because a lot of eyes are on, well, what is the nature of that engagement? And if you've been able to get that blend between the human intervention when necessary, but actually the provision of information in a conversational format in normal times, that's ultimately what the customers are looking for. And actually a lot of customers are often quite surprised by, oh yeah, actually we did get the service, we got the information we wanted, which is why when we do surveys on this stuff, people are quite surprised that there is a pleasant sort of response to the fact that actually we did get a professional service. They might not have been expecting it from the collection sector that they were calling, but actually oftentimes they go away relatively satisfied with having their problem helped and sorted out, often with forbearance involved as well. So
I'd agree. It's funny actually, Chris, because sort of a bugbear of mine is that always design, and the whole conversational design something that makes it very easy for the end user to use, make it a good experience. And then the funny thing is they kind of go, gosh, that was good, I'll do that again, I could use it over and over. And actually that then drives both the win for the end customer, but also the win for the business, because they're actually probably going to do it more efficiently and better. And that customer experience is a real thing. It's probably something that do you know what? Retail have been doing this really well for many, many years. But it probably is only coming into and really getting front of stage now, that whole customer experience. If you make it easy for people to engage with you, don't be surprised when most people do it that way. And as I said, it's a win-win for everybody.
And we've got to get people to engage. I mean, there's still a lot of fear and misconceptions and myths about collection sector. And ultimately, it is creditors who don't necessarily have this level of specialism in-house, who look to bring in support from other organizations to help do it. And, we've got, this is, as I was saying, the credit cycle is so important so that the whole of society has access to credit. Credit is a good and important thing for people to get, from one day of the month, one payday to the other, and all the rest of it. So we'll be covering all of these issues on the 14th of September at the conference, and many more besides. In fact, we've even got an awards evening for best practice, just to reflect the fact that across the hundreds of firms that are involved in this, there's some good stuff going on, very much focused on customers, on skills and training of frontline staff, those sorts of issues. So yeah, again, really grateful for Webio's support, and we'll see lots of companies and other organizations, a great networking opportunity for people to come to the conference.
Chris, we're delighted to be the headline sponsor again this year, and again, it just goes to demonstrate the importance that we at Webio would see in a good conference like this, sort of best practice, getting the industry talking about the topics, and that's something that it comes back to. We talk about conversational AI, but also it's about just having good conversations at the conference, exchange ideas, innovation, and meet up with colleagues from last year and beyond.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, really looking forward to it, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Absolutely, look forward to it.